He told Canadians that the government would collect $20 billion in revenue from those tariffs and use it to cost his platform. Now that those tariffs are going to bring in $0, two quick questions. Why wasn't he honest with Canadians during the election? And how is he going to make up the shortfall? Is he going to borrow it, print it, or tax it?
Our tariffs have maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada, and we are dedicating all the revenues from those tariffs to supporting the workers and businesses affected by the unjustified American actions.
Hear, hear.
After the fall of a prime minister and a whirlwind election campaign, we're back to regularly scheduled programming here in Ottawa with Mark Carney in the House of Commons for his first question period. What did we learn from the first day of debate? Let's bring in our front bench. Sharon Carr is former Deputy Chief of Staff to former Finance Minister Bill Morneau. Jamie Ellerton is a Conservative strategist and the founder and principal of Canaptus. Former interim NDP National Director Carl Belanger is here in studio with me. Next to him, or he's now the president, I should say, of Traction Strategies. Next to him, Stephanie Levitz is a senior reporter in the Globe and Mail's Parliament Hill Bureau. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to see you. I thought initially going into question period, I'm like, no Jagmeet Singh, no Justin Trudeau, no Pierre Poilievre. This is going to be really different. It was like tamer, but felt like almost the last 5 months had never happened.
Yeah, it was different-ish, right? It was like the players had changed, but the script stayed the same, largely. And I guess, you know, part of that is reflecting on the fact that, yes, it is the first sort of, you could say, is it the first new government we've had in 10 years, or isn't it? The Conservatives will argue it's just a continuation of the same old Liberal government. I can't count the number of times that Liberals today kept using the words, the new government, the new government,
especially
trying to make
Prime
this
Minister,
point, right? That they were totally different.
Yeah. Did you think that they succeeded in landing that? And what did you think of the way the opposition positioned itself?
Well, it was kind of a boring question period, to be honest. It's like I heard it before. You know, it was like a sad reboot. And frankly, you know, Prime Minister is a quick learner, and he's learned quickly that it's called question period, not answer period. And so we didn't get much other than it's a new government, and he has a plan, and, you know, we'll find out eventually. So nobody will remember this come next election day. It's not really important. Mark Carney did what he had to do. He survived the day. That's what you want to do. What's going to happen next will be more interesting because the dynamics in the House are quite different than they were before because of the fact that the NDP doesn't have the party status anymore, but still holds the balance of power. And we'll see how it unfolds in the next few days, weeks, when the throne speech votes come to the House.
One of the more insular things, or like inside baseball things, Sharon, is that every Wednesday, Justin Trudeau, and something he brought in as Prime Minister, would take all the questions. This Prime Minister, Mark Carney, won't do that. Today, I think he took the first 9. He's not going to do a regularly scheduled, you know, Wednesday full throttle thing. What do you read into that, and what should we read into that about the significance or lack thereof this government is placing on those exchanges?
Well, I would say that we heard a lot about that today, and a little bit about it yesterday as well. And I think that a lot of people are reading into it, and this is not spin, because I actually just think that the Prime Minister is there and he can say what he wants to say when he wants to say it. I don't actually think you need to have a Wednesday associated just with the Prime Minister. I know Trudeau did it, but it's a change in the page, it's a change in the style. He is there answering questions, but it isn't something that has been part of like parliamentary procedure for decades and decades. So he got rid of something that Trudeau was doing and is kind of putting his own spin on it. I will say, though, that there's a lot of people who probably have been talking about the fact that we don't think that Carney's got the political chops to go into question period. I think today was a really important moment for him because he really did show that he can handle question period. And it looked like, not that it was like a confrontation, but he was ready for it. He was ready to go in there. He was ready to take the answers or the questions and give his answers. But again, we had no Jagmeet Singh. We had no Pierre Poilievre. We did have Andrew Scheer, who I think was having the most fun with this, because for him, like, what is there to lose, right? He's like, look, this is like my opportunity to do theatrics 101. So I actually think today was a really good day for Prime Minister Carney because he walked into question period and kind of walked out a little unscathed.
If I were to rewind this to a year ago, Jamie, the Conservatives at the time would employ those exchanges, in particular between, for example, Mr. Poilievre and Mr. Trudeau, on social media to really, you know, drive home their messaging. I think at that time, to great success. In what way do you think the Conservatives will view this iteration of the House?
So, Vashi, you introduced our segment by saying the last one was the politicians and this one's the strategy. I think today just felt awkward all around. Like, you had Prime Minister Carney know what his message was going to be, but it's actually like the stage presence. Do I look to camera? Do I look to the speaker? I have 20 people yelling at me. It's not like giving a speech like he's done dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And so I thought that kind of showed today. And for the Conservatives, I think the honest reality is you're going to have Pierre Poilievre. He had his news conference minutes before question period to try and get into the daily clips to get quoted. That also kind of sounds like he's trapped in his own word maze of trying to figure out how he's going to get out the other side. For Conservatives in the question period, I think they're just going to continue to kind of throw things at the wall and see what sticks. So much of question period, especially when you're not near an election, is a fishing expedition to see how the government reacts, to see what loose threads unravel that you can start to pull on. And it's essentially headlines to get in the story, get voice share between now and the summer, and then truly regroup in the summer and go forward from there. And for Mark Carney, he essentially gets to kind of lead this this honeymoon period of here's my plan, here's what we're working on, tout whatever early success he can deliver between now and the summer, while ultimately the real work is going to take place far from the House of Commons.
What did you think, Steph, of the dynamic of Mr. Poilievre outside the House right before a question period? It was definitely a decision to come out and start talking about what you would and wouldn't support. He was actually pretty explicit versus other, times we've heard from him and other people in the party. What did you think of the sort of, I guess, that positioning? On
a human level, you kind of got to feel sorry for the guy, right? I mean, he built so much of his brand, so much of his energy on being in the House and being in question period. He said something in response to reporters, I'm not a spectator. And so that's got to be difficult for him.
He even admitted it was kind of odd today, which we had never heard from him before.
Yeah, exactly right. And so, I mean, I found that interesting. He is going to, as Jamie said, he's going to have to fight his way into the coverage. He is going to have to stake his turf and remind people constantly that he's the guy in charge. Even though Andrew Scheer might be on the clips like you play on TV, right? He wants to be in those clips. He is the leader. And so he's going to have to jockey for that. And what's going to be interesting is if and when his party, his MPs screw up in the Commons, make mistakes, go too far, does he own it? Or does he get to retreat because he's not actually there?
Good question. We shall see.